pros. You're all set up.
Oh,
we can't hear you.
Oh no.
Sorry.
What about now? How's that?
It's a bit better.
It's a bit better. You might have to come closer.
Maybe come closer.
Oh no.
Closer. How about we just hold it?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
thank you. I can hear you now. Okay, who are we talking to today?
All right, introduce yourself, ladies.
Okay. I am Grace Rodham. I'm a massive fan of the High Tea with MrsWoo Girls and yeah, customer for a couple of years.
Oh gosh, hello. My name is Mylan. I'm a graphic designer, but yeah, I love fashion, and I've been buying local or local when I'm overseas, or like second hand. I don't know, for probably like 10 years, but I just didn't even know. I didn't know what I was much about it at the time. I just knew that I appreciated story and quality. Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Hi.
And hi, nice to meet you.
You
the
too.
I'm kind of new to sustainable fashion over the last few years, but it's been very fun figuring out some ways that I have been able to participate or do my own stuff. It's been really
Make your own choices. Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Cool.
are you guys all in your 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 24
25.
and 26.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
You guys are right in the thick of it. You're the young, savvy, millennial generation. They're
It's all
trying.
Really are.
It's really fun.
Sadly, I couldn't figure out Instagram Live.
Yeah.
We're all new to this live stuff. So we wanted to ask you guys to let us know, firstly, what's the Lockdown Ladies? Like, it's been really fantastic seeing what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? What is it all about?
So we moved into this beautiful home, I think, maybe a week into lockdown. We were very lucky because we had temporary housing, and but honestly, the perfect house came up. Like, this place is all we dreamed of and more. And we were just having such fun together, homemaking, because we're all around all the time. And we were like, we're hilarious. Surely everyone wants to see how hilarious we are. And then we started to realize, like, our friends were messaging us what they were doing. And I was like, oh, I'd love to post that too. And then in a way, it's kind of made everyone feel a bit connected, which is really sweet. And we were so
it's really nice.
how many people were messaging in and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're having.
Well, it actually looks like you've been really busy, you know, like that's why I'm looking at your shared Instagram account. It looks like you're in a studio setup.
Yeah, you're
Cooking or
maybe
painting,
dressing up.
You know, there's a lot of stuff happening, and you're not sitting on your hands during this time,
No, it's been fun.
which is great. And it does it.
Lauren's been painting a lot. It's been she's great.
Yeah, I saw the paintings. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It really looked like it had set up a studio.
Yeah. So my sister Rachel, she's in meetings at the moment, but she kind of set up the shed as an art space, and it's just opened up a really nice creative outlet for not just me, but for her as well and the other girls. And it's been really fun actually getting back into a creative headspace, because I'm still studying, so it's like I'm very much like I'm always reading and having to do all this other stuff, and I've really been enjoying having the time to actually put my energy into something that is bringing a lot of joy to me as well as others. Yeah.
What about you, Grace? Like, how are you feeling amongst all of this uncertainty and just feels so surreal? How are you going?
I am really enjoying isolation. I'm definitely an introvert, so I'm enjoying it a little bit too much. But I'm really inspired by the creatives, the local businesses, local food producers, you guys, just to name a few. I've just been really inspired by the way, I think the wording I keep on using is that when there's a fire, that's actually when gold is purified, that gold is purified through local businesses that are just being proven to be who they have always been.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I'm technologically challenged and my phone's going to die, so we're going to swap over to Mylan's phone.
Yeah, go for it.
So it might totally just take 2 seconds.
Okay, so how do we do this then?
I don't know. Fingers crossed. Come on, ladies.
I'm back. Amazing. How is the sound?
All right, we learned something new today. You can do that switch.
Yes.
See, I told you, technology and me, they don't go together.
This is good.
That's cool.
So anyway, this was a very spontaneous request, and we really appreciate that you have agreed to do this.
Candid convo. But I mean, essentially, why we're here is because it's Fashion Revolution Week, and I'm sure you do know about how fantastic this movement is.
Yeah.
And what really fascinates us is how do we have this really important conversation about clothing, about supply chain, about the garment makers, about, actually making better conscious decisions about your clothing with a younger generation. And you guys are in the thick of it. So, how do you guys feel about your clothing? Like, do you buy secondhand? Do you engage with like brands that you value? Do you purchase fast fashion still? Like, there's also like pricing and your budget. There's so many things.
That's real, that you can't. There's so many different ways that things are priced, and we have to be realistic about that. Like, we're the same, especially when it comes to like kids' clothes as well. So,
secondhand, that's the best.
Yeah, so I think we just want to know how you guys feel about, because you're actually the first generation that are really aware of the situation.
The climate crisis is like, it's right here. And
you're growing up with that, whereas previous generations to you had no awareness of, exploitation so much, and this just wasn't really like kind of talked about. So you're actually living it, and I don't know, does that come across when you shop? Or
like, do you feel pressure? Do you feel sort of a bit overwhelmed about it all?
I think sometimes, because I'm still studying, I've got this real small budget, so I have found that in order to kind of alleviate that pressure within myself to like buy cheap stuff, I have been trying really hard to like go op shopping, and I recently got a sewing machine for my birthday, so I've been trying to alter clothes and like, do things.
Yeah, awesome.
Which it doesn't always turn out really well, but it's been good to challenge myself in even like understanding the process of making something and how everyone fits differently. And I like the idea of like buying fabrics from op shops and like, I don't know, my sister had a big pile of clothes that I've been kind of like chipping away at for a while of just like altering it and seeing what I can make out of it.
Great.
I can't afford to buy the stuff that maybe I used to want to buy, but it's probably been the best thing for me. So it's been fun figuring out, even like within myself, what I can and can't do, and when I can't do something, being able to say, I can buy something really nice that I know that someone has worked really hard on, and it's comfortable.
Do you feel like by sort of investigating and understanding more about making clothing, it kind of helps you to realize just what goes into making garments? Because there's a huge disconnect there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like as a kid, you kind of you get clothes because your parents would buy it for you. And I think even like as an adult, the amount of money that goes into buying clothes and then further going into that and being like, oh, like the process of making this is so much deeper than just going to a shop and being like, that's pretty, I'm going to buy it. it's so interesting, and I think the more that you learn about where things are coming from and like how people are treated in the process of that is like it's massive. It definitely changes the way that you see something. Like I don't see value in certain things anymore purely because I can't justify buying something that has exploited a person or it's very tricky.
Do you think that it like would you say that is a very similar thought process that's happening with your group, your friends, or is that something that you're coming to yourself at the moment?
I think all of us, like even outside of our immediate household, like a lot of our friends have been going through this journey of understanding sustainability and what that looks like in lots of different areas, like especially food and especially clothing. Like it's been really cool. Everyone coming from different backgrounds and different perspectives and having different understandings of all of these different things and kind of bring that to the table and have conversations about it. Like for me, it's only been over the last couple of years that I've actually been able to like talk to people about it or like have more of an understanding. But I think like these girls have taught me so much about everything. It's so interesting.
Yeah, Mylan, you say that when you travel, you're very conscious of like where, like the the brands that you buy from or the local designers that you try and support when you do that. And I imagine that that's the same approach as when you're at home as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I have, I think like prior to learning about the exploitation of workers, I have always loved design, and my parents taught me to look for quality. And then that kind of always goes hand in hand with artisans and so, and if you respect the design, generally, you know, like things are from the ground up built well. And so, but as soon as I learned about the exploitation, it just very much like kind of resonated in terms of the thought of the process being as beautiful as the end product. So it's like this, it has this garment, has integrity, like it has story, and I'm investing into that. And so I think for me, like I've learnt over the years, I've definitely learnt to do as I spend more, because that's my personal decision. I buy less because I can't afford it, but because because I'm investing in the quality pieces, I have things for decades. Like I honestly had things from when I was a teenager, and I can still wear them now because they were made so beautifully. Or even my parents, like I think they were such an example to me. They gave me things that they like, beautiful garments that they've had since the 80s. And now I'm the one like putting holes in them and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, so long. It's amazing.
Yeah, you might have to take the shoulder pads out too. Just to,
I know.
But you know what's really interesting about that comment is that, you know, as you guys grow up and eventually have, you know, family of your own, if you decide to, like what we've learned now that we're parents too, is that all of these things just are embedded in our kids. And it's so lovely to be able to go, I'm like this because my parents taught me about the value of things being made well, and to pay for things because, you know, it contributes to something that's greater than just the price of that good. And it's really great to hear that. Do you feel as though, you know, in amongst all of this stuff, the pricing and the budget and how do you guys manage your money towards putting aside money to save towards a garment or garments? Because I think we find that quite tricky, and that's why we started the life cycle thing too, because it means that at a lower price point, it introduces people into a label they may not be able to afford normally. So it's also about saving, about investing, and a lower entry point. Like, do you guys find that budgeting things be helpful?
Yeah. I think also like, I don't know about, I don't know. I think about an item of clothing for, I've thought about something for 3 years before.
Yeah.
And that would make me think about And in that time, I would think about cost per wear, like all this stuff to try and just get myself over the line if I get a bit nervous about the cost. Because it's not that the labour's not worth it and the materials aren't worth it. It's just I don't know, whenever you're going to drop quite a few digits, you always have to.
That's right. Yeah.
Think, especially our age, and it's like we'll have a great wardrobe, but we might not own a house for another 20 years.
That's right.
There's plenty of people in that boat, definitely. And Grace, I mean, we've heard that a lot with awesome conversations with you, because you've been really great at sort of saving and being very intentional about your purchases. How does it make you feel?
It's the greatest joy, particularly wearing your garments, High Tea with Mrs. Wu. I remember the first garment that I really put a lot of savings into was my cobalt blue, the Rivers cotton.
Yes.
And it was...
I know you thought about that for a really long time.
I did. And thank you to you guys for being so gracious in letting me try it on, and you allowed me to lay by it, and I would come in and just pay a little bit off at a time and a little bit off at a time. But what I didn't realize when I bought a High Tea with Mrs. Wu garment was that I was joining this secret club. And what I mean by that is you start to see other people wearing a High Tea with Mrs. Wu garment, and you know, and it's this little community where you'll see a certain hemline, like at the bottom of the dresses or the sleeves, and you'll just know that person wearing that garment probably has similar thoughts and feelings towards clothes and ethics as you. It's a real communing point. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, that's so lovely. That is so lovely. Thanks, Grace.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the case. Like, even talking to Dan yesterday, it's the same with her customers. Like, it's a real community, and people feel so proud and attached, and they, all the victories and the heartache is all celebrated with all of you. I mean, we feel like we have this like massive support crew.
Yeah. And the other thing with what Mylan said about, thinking about something for like almost 3 years before you actually make the purchase, it's very interesting considering the conversation we had with Milk and Thistle yesterday. And she said, like selling to like, let's say she was saying she was selling to the iconic, and how there was this understanding of sustainable brands and slow fashion, but there was still an expectation for brands like ours to, create and produce new garments every 6 weeks or every 3 months, or whereas what you're saying actually is like it's not relevant. Yeah, actually, like, because you're investing in something. You're not going, I'm just going to wear this for the next 2 weekends and that's it. Yeah, right? So there's definitely a disconnect there between how like maybe larger businesses are kind of expecting brands to work, or how we even like thinking, oh well, we want to produce something every season, but over the years we've definitely we've decided not to like design for the sake of designing something new, and it's more about improving or redesigning or refining or choosing better new fabrics or better fabrics. So I guess the big question we wanted to really ask is, what do you guys think we should do better? Like
us, as in all, sort of this kind of small. You're on, ladies. You're on. It's interesting because your point of view as millennials and being in the thick of all of this stuff, it's quite interesting, because I think a lot of businesses and brands, they make assumptions and oftentimes they're incorrect. And it's really great to have this chance to talk to you guys where you're in it, you're practicing it, and you're thinking about all these things. What can you imagine, like retail, clothing, sort of, design-wise, and also what the lifespan of what you want your garments to look and feel like in your wardrobe and on your bodies.
Yeah. What would be like the ideal thing, like for, you know, how would you like a shop to be for you? Well, what's that? You know, if you could imagine,
Dream really big.
if you could imagine like the perfect kind of shopping experience, I suppose. You know, I'm not sure. That's a pretty like.
It's a big
Sorry, that was just like a spontaneous question. Might have to think about that one for a bit.
I'll start off by saying that I once heard this quote. It's very simple, and it says, "People don't care what you know until they know that you care." And I think when the businesses I'm attracted to, particularly when it comes to clothing, would be the businesses that have given their story, been vulnerable enough to tell who the people behind it are. I'm really attracted to the story, particularly, you know, please understand, ladies, I do not think you are old at all. I think you are...
We're in our 40s. We're getting there.
Considering this conversation is about the millennials and how, you as small business owners would, how we would want stores to be. I think people doubt, like even you ladies may doubt how important your story behind your business, each garment, the name of every garment, why you chose that curve, like how important that is to us, because we're so overexposed these days that when a real story is behind something, it captures your heart and you want to be a part of it. So I would actually, funnily enough, say story. It would be something that I'm looking for.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's
I totally agree. And I think that people, like even in person, like on the screen, people can pick authenticity. It's an intuitive thing. So people can tell when you're using the lingo and bravado to kind of formulate this. Because I'm a graphic designer. I've worked in like communications, so I know what it's like for brand. And I just think when you tell your story really earnestly and that you hone in on your craft, like people can tell. It will speak for itself. You don't need to use the lingo. You don't need to sing about what you do. Like I don't know. I think they're the people I look out for. They're the ones that I feel like I can connect with, and even not just purchase from, but send them an email and tell them how much I love their work.
Amazing.
You know, instead of using all the lingo, but then not following through, because the product will speak for itself.
That's right.
I think
people can tell.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know, you know.
Can we just multiply you guys? Like just millions and millions of you would be amazing.
Yeah, and for you?
I totally agree. Like the same kind of thing. I think as well, I think I'm more drawn to somewhere that is physically smaller and not overwhelming in rows and rows and rows of the same thing in every different shop. Like I'm so tired of looking at clothes that I don't want to buy, but they're all the same. Like every shop, same stuff. Like that's why I've been more interested in trying to make some things, because I want it to look a bit interesting or fit well. I think people don't know how to wear clothes that fit them well anymore, because you've got to fit into little cookie cutter things, and it's really sad. So I think I'm more drawn to a smaller store in, like, walking into a shop. I'd much prefer that, because I can actually not feel overwhelmed by everything that's in there. Even if there's lots of stuff, I'm easily overwhelmed, so I don't really like going to.
But you're right about the overwhelm. Yeah, that's in everything, right? At the moment, you know, it's like visually overwhelmed. information overwhelm.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. You try and cut through the noise and you know, find the things that are that are engaging or inspiring. So okay,
definitely.
well that's awesome.
Oh, it's such insight.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean we feel like we assume too much. So this has been really nice to actually hear it from you guys and know that that I think if other brands were listening to this, they would probably take away the same feeling that we are right now. It's just very grateful.
Yeah.
And
totally. And to feel like, you know, collectively we do have a ability to make change. Like you guys are doing it. You're spreading the information and the experience that you guys are having with your mates. We're doing the same via these, you know, bizarre media channels that I use for. Got YouTube now. Woo!
Yeah, we're a bit slow on all of this stuff, but yeah. So this has been really awesome.
Yeah, let's celebrate that. Thank you so much, lovely ladies.
Thank you. Let's chat again.
Let's chat again.
Yes.